Warning, the following story contains tales of people drinking too much, behaving badly, and my personal opinions based on my experience in this crazy working atmosphere. My statements here are not meant to offend anybody, especially not the Irish people in general, as I hold a great respect for their history and their beer and leprechauns. However, with all due respect, I never want to work at a concert in your country again. So yeah, this is a story about the time I was in Ireland for 2 nights actually. If you happen to be new here and just clicked on this, I'm just some American living in Germany since 2001. Had a couple interesting jobs that took me all around Europe. I babble about it here. Welcome. If that's something you're into, feel free to join us and subscribe or click join and become a member. For the rest of you, just thanks in general for being here. I appreciate the likes and the comments. I love hearing from you. Shout out to my members. Mwah. So let's just dive right in. This story takes place when I was working selling merchandise for musicians on tour. If you've watched my past videos, I've mentioned a couple of the bands that I've worked for, but just for today, for this particular story and for privacy reasons, I'm going to leave the band anonymous. So let's start at the beginning. I was really excited when I found out that my job was going to take me to Ireland. I had never been there, and I was really excited to see it and experience it. Bonus, I found out that we weren't just going to have one concert there, but 2. First night in Dublin, second night in Belfast. I was really excited. This particular tour took us all up and down that island, and I have to say, for me personally, it was a real gift that we actually had a lot of day travel. Like, that's not that common when you're on tour. Often you leave after a concert and you travel at night. And I gotta say, I saw some beautiful countryside. And when we arrived in Dublin, I mean, it was eye candy left and right looking out that tour bus window. Just a really pretty and historic city, Dublin is. I was really impressed. So the first concert in Ireland with this band in Dublin, if I'm honest with you, not a lot about the club in particular we were at sticks in my head. Just a simple rock club with a simple stage and room for people to drink and dance. I had my little merch booth in the back of the room. I loved that when I had concerts where I had a straight-on view of the actual concert going on, as opposed to when they would put me sometimes like at the entrance outside the concert theater. But I have to say, like, I remember when we arrived, I want to say we arrived there like around midday. The club's not open yet, you know, the idea is the tour bus arrives and can get some electrics and we can go in and get some lunch and, like, I can build up my merch booth and the guys can build up the stage. I mean, once in a while there'll be a few fans or groupie types that'll be hanging outside of these locations when we show up early, hoping, I guess, that they can meet the musicians. So it wasn't surprising to me when we got there, and I saw quite a few people hanging out outside of the club already. What did surprise me was how sloppy, fall down drunk a lot of them were. Already, I repeat, we arrived somewhere in the afternoon. The concert, I think doors were going to open, the concert was going to start like around 8 at night. I quickly started to wonder if these were actual, like, fans of the band I was working with, or just maybe just random drunk people that hang out in front of this club and get really sloppy drunk. And I remember us going in and, like, getting catering, get some food. Some people got some showers. I want to set up my merch booth. Some of the guys went out and explored beautiful Dublin. I stayed there and took care of business, and yeah, I took a look every once in a while outside the club, out of curiosity, but also because I would hear noises. I mean, random noises, like or noises like, the streets of Dublin made me curious. I had to look outside. And I just want to say, I have worked a lot of concerts, clubs, festivals from Britain to further than Moscow. I have been to and worked at a lot of concerts. But this one holds its own special title, Ireland. Because it was at this concert that, for the first time in my little career there as a traveling salesperson, let's say, that not only before doors open, before the concert's anywhere near beginning, there are people outside, not just drinking, I'm telling you, falling on their face drunk. Like I saw several. And there was vomit. Listen, I'm not judging you all. I did my fair share of drinking and partying in the day. But that's serious. This really shocked me. And again, to me, I know to them it's a concert, but to me this is like a job. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, these people paid for a ticket. I think if my memory serves me well, these people probably paid somewhere around 25 euros that night for this particular concert. And it just blew me away that somebody would pay for that ticket. And there's no way a lot of these people that I saw remembered much of this night. I promise you. There's just no way. Unless maybe the Irish genetics are different. Maybe their memory powers when drinking are stronger or something. I don't know. But I'm saying I saw a lot of sloppiness that shocked the hell out of me. Don't do that, folks. That makes me a little sad. It's like a waste of money. Don't spend money on a concert ticket to go see a band that you love enough to spend money on a concert ticket to pay to see them, and then end up drinking so much before that you can't enjoy the show. That makes the merch girl sad. But if I'm honest with you, I didn't have much time to be sad because shit got crazy for me quick in there. I can't lie. When doors did open, it was highly amusing for me. I was very interested to watch the crowd entering, realize they had to come in here past me and the concert's over there. And I have to say that the parade of drunkenness that I saw coming in was spectacular. In my experience, generally at this point, doors open, concerts, going to begin in the next half hour to an hour. In my experience working concerts, yeah, there's normally people drinking at this point, and there's a few that may have gotten drunk already. But what I saw in Ireland, you are in a league in and of itself. Several couldn't even walk or falling as they're coming in, but I'll tell you, man, they kept going. I mean, straight to the bar, and I remember watching the crowd, and it was definitely a little bit sloppy. Who am I to talk? I also have balance issues. Well, I'll tell you who I am to talk. I'm the girl who had to sell the t-shirts that night to these people. And at the start of my night, I found it all quite entertaining, was very open, excited, a little nervous about trying to communicate with their beautiful accent, hoping I could do it. And I'd say my first bunch of customers were really nice folks. And when I asked them if the amount of people here that are that drunk, is this normal? They were like, oh yeah. But then, alcohol, it does stuff to people. And the worst for me that night was I had this dude that came up onto my merch stand. And when I'm standing behind that table with those t-shirts behind me and you approach me, of course I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to try to sell you a t-shirt or a CD or whatever I have here. But sometimes people are lonely, and sometimes they think I'm there to have a conversation with just them. Strange, but it's true. And one of those dudes showed up this night in Dublin. And how do I say this without having this video demonetized? It felt like he went back and forth between the two F's with me. The two F's, between wanting to fight me and me. You know what I'm saying? But again, Ireland, it was at a whole nother level. I've dealt with creepy dudes as a female working in sales. And I've dealt with not so creepy flirting interactions. It does happen when you're a female working in sales. I imagine it also happens for guys. Anyway. But this dude, he didn't seem so drunk, honestly, at first appearances. But it escalated like really quick, and then it would escalate, but then it would go right back down, and then it would escalate again. My anxiety was going in waves. What I mean is, so like this dude appears and he starts talking to me, and I answer him and I try to turn the conversation into, do you want to buy a shirt? And he is asking the general questions like what I'm doing with the bands, do I really work with them? What I'm getting at is he's not buying a shirt from me. He's trying to chit chat and small talk. And if I got time, I'm not stressed, and it's possible, I am known in that job to do some small talk, get to know you. However, I'm not only doing sales at that moment, I'm also doing security and responsible for a lot of different things. And I had like World War III in alcohol abuse going on all around me. I had stuff to look out for, is all I'm saying. And so, like, guy says something, I say something nice back, customer appears over here, I say, excuse me, go to start with the customer, and that dude that was just saying something nice and trying to small talk with me immediately starts saying, well, if you don't want to talk to me, if you think you're too good for me. I shit you not. And I would sell the customer and, take care of them. And even one of them, I remember commenting, like, I don't know what this dude's issue is, but you see this? And also, like, I tried using my talking talents, and I was like, I'll be right back with you, dude. If you want to buy a shirt, I could talk to you about that. And so, like, this customer would leave, and I'm left standing there, have no choice, but this dude is still kind of leaning there with his beer, and he leans in and just says something nice to me. Honestly, I can't remember the details, but I really clearly remember this guy going back and forth between, like, you have really beautiful hair. And I would get a customer, and then he would just, like, spurt out something like, you're just being nice to people because you want to sell something. You're not really nice. I'm sorry, are you new to sales? So, like, the whole time, I couldn't believe after, like the third or fourth time of this guy doing that and going back and forth between drastic changes in emotions, honestly, I didn't feel a little safe and was keeping my eye on him. And that's saying a lot, considering in the time of other customers I had to deal with, there was at least twice where a fight broke out. One guy got thrown onto my table. Numerous people had to be yelled at, and I had to debate whether they should be putting their beers down on the t-shirts and CDs I'm trying to sell. Lots of spitting, because that's what people do when they're really drunk. Did I say the people falling down? I'm like thrown into my table, fights. Oh my God, that night was so heavy. It was a hard work night, is all I'm saying. By the end of the night, there were literally people laying on the ground, falling down out in the streets on their way to leave, falling face down. Several fights. Things were broken. Puddles of whatever. Honestly, that was one concert that I came out of and went, oh my God. Ran to the bus, and when I entered that bus, I said, get me the hell out of this city. I never want to return to it again. Funny thing is, from a business perspective, I think I actually did pretty good. I think I sold a few t-shirts, so thanks for that, Ireland. I appreciate that, even though you had my anxiety all like, all night. I'm just saying the Irish are hardcore at concerts. But if all that wasn't weird enough, it's about to get even weirder. I remember trying to come down from my work night and being in this downstairs lounge, getting myself a beer, sitting next to one of my roadie co-workers, and noticing two random girls sitting towards the front of our lounge in the tour bus. They were not part of our crew. However, it should be noted that we had somebody on this particular tour who had what I'm just going to describe as a bad habit of bringing random broads on the tour bus, and it often not ending well. And guess who usually had to remove the women? So I remember like asking one of the guys, what's up with the chicks? Who are the chicks? And I remember like one of the other guys answering me, they were unsure, saying they too thought that this one dude probably just brought them on, fans from the concert. But this is weird. If you don't know, when we're on tour, we live in that tour bus. That is our home. So this is essentially like you coming home from work and finding two random people sitting in your living room. And maybe you don't freak out right away because a bunch of your friends are there, so you think maybe one of my friends brought them. And as the tour bus driver is pulling away now, at this point we're leaving Dublin and I believe we're heading to Belfast. Within just this few seconds communication with my boys here, it was becoming pretty clear. Like, it seemed like nobody knew who these girls were and why they were on our bus. What the hell, Ireland? So I took my beer and I walked right up and I took a seat next to the two girls and I was like, hi. And these two girls, I would describe them as small, little, petite, well-dressed, sweet-seeming creatures. If I had to guess their age, I would guess they were probably around 18, 19, 20. Irish. Surprisingly, didn't seem so drunk after what I had encountered that night. But when I sat down next to them and, for example, just asked what they thought of the concert tonight, I was a little shocked when the one girl looked directly at me with her thick Irish accent and said, "We weren't at the concert. What concert?" And I'm like, wait. You weren't at the concert? Who brought you on the bus tonight, sweetheart? And I swear to God, these girls looked at me, not an ounce of fear in their eyes. They were chilling. This was all very matter of fact and normal. They looked at me. And flat out confirmed they didn't even have a clue whose tour bus this was, who the band was that was on it, but they had been walking by the club and they just thought that they would get on the bus because they thought they would find one thing in particular. Again, I'm not going to mention it because of fear of demonetization, but I was quite shocked that two random Irish chicks just decided at like 3 in the morning in the middle of Dublin, we're going to get on this tour bus parked here in front of this club, and yeah, hopefully they'll have a little something, something for us. So on this particular night, once again, I had to do more than my normal merch girl duties, and I had to play a little security and escort two young ladies off of the bus. Just immediately yelled to the bus driver, "Stop the bus. These chicks are getting off right now." And he just stopped in the middle of Dublin, and I kicked them off. But what a crazy night, right? Like, and my friends and family, for example, from America, they look at me like I'm crazy when I tell them I never want to go to Dublin again. No. I know so many people that want to go and see Dublin. I get it. It looks beautiful. I feel like I had an overdose of Dublin that night. I got, unfortunately, a lot of bad. And so you can imagine, the next day in Belfast, I was a little at a tension, not knowing what this night was going to bring to me. I recall our arrival at the club in Belfast, not like a lot of drunk people like the night before hanging out outside of this club. I remember the club owner being a really, really nice, straight up kind of guy. I remember him greeting us and just explaining where everything was, and when I wanted to just talk to him about merchandise, my corner, what I may need, the guy just like put his arm around me, and I really felt like this guy was there for me, provided me with everything I needed. But it got a little interesting. I also remember this club in Belfast was interesting because it looked like a little old historic theater, like a theater like they used to act on the stage in. It was really cool looking. And I remember as a naive American in Ireland, I think it was the club owner that explained to me we were right down the road from the most bombed hotel in the world. I don't know if it was me, but I know one of us looked at the guy and was like, "Are we in Afghanistan?" But nope, he explained to me that there in Belfast, at least when I was there a bunch of years ago, this club was apparently right down the road from one of the most bombed hotels in the world. Crazy. Ireland is hardcore. So after meeting the workers in the club and getting a good little meal in me, I began to set up my merch section, and I realized I was in kind of a dark corner, so I grabbed the really nice club owner guy again, and I explained to him that the night before I encountered some threats. Like, I had people knocking over my table. I had people directly threaten me. I had a guy going back and forth between wanting to kill me and marry me. And I told him that my impression of Ireland thus far, due to the one night in Dublin, was not that great. And I was a little nervous. And again, this guy, like, he just looked at me and he said, "Ugh, Dublin." He explained to me that that's Dublin. I'm in Belfast now. I thought that was cute. For some reason, it made me feel comfortable. And then he says to me, "Listen, if you need anything, there's security. There'll be a guy here. There'll be a guy here." Right near my booth, he was pointing out. And then he said to me the most comforting words that any merch girl likes to hear. He said, "If anybody gives you any problem, you're in Belfast. You just punch them, and security will be right there to back you up." Ireland is hardcore. In the end, that night was a really fun concert. Again, I had a great view. They put my merch booth up on this like balcony, which I thought for security would be a good thing. I recall selling a decent amount for the city I was in, so from a business perspective, I was pleased. Until the end of the night. Ireland. Because at the end of the night, at the end of the concert in Belfast, it's really unfortunate that somehow some guy jumped what would have been the equivalent of one floor in front of several security standing at the door up into my merch booth that was up on that balcony and grabbed not one, but a stack of my t-shirts. Yeah, so he apparently jumped, grabbed, stack, ran. How security didn't get him, I don't know. I've already apologized to all the Irish for not being quick enough to punch the guy as I was instructed. I did my best. I was just one merch girl. But at the end of that night, I do remember, once I talked to my bosses and I talk about what happened, I felt bad. I felt like, a little bit of a failure in my job. Even though it's pretty clear here telling this story, there are a lot of things I couldn't have done much about. Ireland. I do recall, though, at the end, like, a lot of the crowd from the concert were still, like, partying outside. And I'll admit I did go a little bit like a bulldog, possibly with a box cutter in my pocket, looking for a dude with a stack of t-shirts, but I never found him. Instead, I do remember being able to calm down and actually enjoy a few hours there with the local people of Belfast, and I remember having a lot of laughs and meeting a lot of nice people that night, honestly, once I was able to let the stress go. But honestly, Ireland, you really took me through a whole roller coaster of emotions. I don't know if I can handle it again anytime soon. But, if I had a chance to go back to Ireland, if I'm dead honest with you, I have no desire to go to Dublin. I'm not saying I'm scared, but I might be a little scared. I definitely would like to see Belfast a little bit closer, but just a short trip, like a 1 or 2 day trip. But I really would love, if given ever the opportunity again, to be able to travel around the countryside and just look at the land and a lot of the old little houses. Ireland, you are pretty, but the way you do concerts scares me. Scared me, and I can't lie, it kind of impressed me at the same time, but scared me. I don't know how else to sum up this video except Ireland is hardcore. So yeah, that was my experience in Ireland. 2 nights, Dublin, Belfast, working as a merch girl, trying to sell t-shirts at concerts. Ireland, you are really hardcore. No offense, but I hope I never have to work in a bar or a club in that country ever again. But I do thank you all for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you, your likes, your comments, the ones that have become members. The cult is growing. Hope to be coming at you soon with another video, but until that happens, I really do hope that you take care of yourself. And if you pay for a concert ticket, stay sober enough to enjoy the show until at least halfway into the show. Just my advice. Get your money's worth.